I'm David Mitchell, 33 years old, nearly 6 feet tall, and slightly underweight at 145 pounds. I'm a successful author, primarily of young adult novels, bodice ripper romances, and various other genres. I write under different pseudonyms for each of my genres, with Lovebug being my pen name for contemporary romance novels. I met Sophia Grace when I was 27 in a rather unusual way. After a meeting with my publishers in New York City, I was heading home on a Friday and waiting at the cab stand at my airport. As I was about to hail a cab, a woman with a luggage cart ran into me. I wasn't hurt, just incredibly annoyed. I turned to let her know exactly how I felt, but then I saw something unexpected, a vision. She was crying. "I'm sorry, are you hurt?" she asked. Before I could respond, I heard her mutter under her breath, "Great, I get dumped by my fiancé, fired from my job, miss my early flight, get bumped from the next one, and now I run over some poor guy who had nothing to do with my awful week. Look, miss, I didn't step into your way. I wasn't even near the path to the parking garage. You've got no reason to call me an a-hole." Just then, the cab I had called pulled up, and I climbed in, giving the driver my destination. I got home, grabbed a beer from the fridge, and began to unwind when the house phone rang. I recognized the number. It was my business cell phone. I answered sharply, "Hello, this is the Mitchell residence. What are you doing with my phone?" I heard a definite giggle, followed by a female voice saying, "I'm the dumb bitch who called you an a-hole. When I was restacking my luggage, your phone was on the ground. I'm calling to figure out how to get it back to you. I'm in Southside, and I can bring it over if you give me your address. If you'll let me, I'll bring dinner too. Do you like Chinese?" It'll be my way of partially apologizing. I replied, "Everyone who's human and doesn't have some kind of food allergy likes Chinese. I live at 5116 Maple Grove Drive in Riverstone. Do you know how to get here?" I heard a sparkling laugh. "GPS, you man, you. I also have a friend that lives down the street from you in the subdivision, so I'll find it. Let's figure on 6:30. Okay. Yup. That's fine. I like what is generally called house fried rice or 5-meat fried rice and egg rolls. I also will try anything, but isn't the man supposed to provide on a date? I don't want to get too adventurous on our first date." "Wait, this is going to be our first date, isn't it?" "We'll see." A giggle, and then all I heard was silence. I never did get her name. As I have a housekeeper and had not been home for 4 days, there wasn't much to do to make the house presentable. I put my dirty clothes in the hamper and got my meeting suit ready to take to the cleaners. By the time I was finished, my accumulated jet lag caught up with me. I took a nap after setting my alarm for 5:30. When the alarm chimed, I was in better shape, and after a long shower, I was near as human as an author can be. We writers are somewhat strange ducks. Right at 6:30, the side doorbell rang. The Vision was standing there with a large bag with the logo of my favorite Chinese restaurant on it. I took the bag, moved to the side, and said, "Enter, fair maiden. My castle is indeed fortunate that you grace it with your presence." That earned me a giggle and an introduction. First, let me introduce myself. I am Sophia Grace of the Southside Graces. We are a vigorous and aggressive breed, but I come bearing peace offerings. Sir Knight, we bear you no ill will, and punishment has been visited on the person who caused you misfortune. I accept your offerings of peace, but I must visit my own punishments on the dastardly cad that caused the upset to my person. Perhaps maybe a thrashing with the open hand delivered to that sorry individual's posterior. What say you? No, Sir Knight, anything but that. My flesh is too delicate to stand the abuse. Then we both broke up laughing. Sophia, I am David Mitchell. I am 27, and other than a housekeeper, unattached. So you need to watch yourself now that you are in my evil clutches. I thank you for delivering my phone, and I am not angry about the airport. I was a little when I heard your muttering, but after I thought about it I realized that everyone can have a day like your mutterings described. I do not require any more apology than you coming here. This house has not had anyone as beautiful as you since my mother and sister were here. You are very easy on the eyes. With that, we dug in. After dinner, I showed Sophia the house and grounds. As I said, I am a very successful author and own the equivalent of 4 lots in a square. I explained to her what I did and said, because I was successful and did not want to rent, I bought this place and the other lots. I got here when the developer first opened the place up. I was the first buyer, and so the lots I purchased are at the end of a cul-de-sac. The house is custom built and is a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath ranch style 4,000 square feet home. The master bedroom has an attached reading room office. The other 3 bedrooms are on the other side of the house and share 2 baths. Sophia was surprised when I showed her the backyard. The large patio had an outdoor kitchen, and the entire yard had a 7-foot privacy fence. Sophia told me she was 24, and up until the day before yesterday, a computer graphics artist for a small children's software company. She was engaged to the son of the owner, and when he wanted to start their sex life early, she told him no. He broke the engagement, had daddy fire her, and canceled the lease on her company car and apartment. She took her clothes and came home. What exactly does a computer artist do? I am an author of several different types of books, and I need someone to do my book dust covers. I can also use a proofreader as my rewrites are driving me crazy. If you're interested, we can discuss salary, perks, and details with my lawyer Monday. I was a standard artist until I learned computer graphics in college. I draw, paint in oil and acrylic, and occasionally sculpt in clay, then cast in bronze. I only sculpt on commission, and they don't come by too often. I would be very interested in either or both positions. I am not hurting for money, but I need a job for my sanity. My degree is in fine arts with an English minor. Would you like to see some of my works? I would love to see some of your work. However, I know I am adjusting to the time zone change and am exhausted. Could I pick you up tomorrow and take you to lunch as a second date? I would like that, but if it is a date, why would we discuss business? If it is a business meeting, let's have the date start tomorrow evening. I live with my mother at 743 Alcona Avenue, South Side. If you're tired, how about I leave, and I will see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock or earlier if you want, but not before 9 o'clock. This fair maiden needs her beauty sleep. What could you possibly do to improve perfect beauty? Okay, if you're up for it, we can have an early meeting at 9 o'clock and then make a day of it. Lunch, mall walking, dinner, and a play that I have tickets for. Does that sound like a plan? Yes, indeed, Sir Knight, that sounds like a very good plan. As I escorted her to the door, she turned, got on tiptoe and gave me a nice kiss. Then as she was leaving, she tossed out, I might enjoy that thrashing with an open hand on the posterior when we get to know each other better. Good night, David. You have rescued this damsel in distress. Even if the job doesn't work out, I am happier than I have been since I was dumped on by A-hole Jr. She drove off with my phone. The next morning, I was up early, so I threw some of my clothes from my trip into the washer. Then I went to get my phone. Sophia never gave it to me. Since it was still quite early, and I'm not a total jerk, I waited until 7:30 to call my phone. A sleepy Sophia answered. David Mitchell's phone. Can I take a message? Yes, you can. This is your favorite a-hole. What are you doing with my phone? Now I am going to have to administer 2 thrashing sessions. Good morning, Sophia. I know it is mean to call you this early, but I couldn't resist. Would you like to go to breakfast to start the day of our second date? I also wanted to rub it in that we both forgot that you came to my place to deliver that instrument of death that you have in your hand. More giggles. How about you come over at 8:30? I will make you breakfast. I'm actually a very good cook. My mother is out of town, so it is not a meet the parents moment. I will be there with bells on, clothes also. The cops in this town have a thing against public nudity. More giggles, and then a dial tone. When I drove up to the split-level home, I could see that the neighborhood was probably upper middle class. I pulled into the circular drive and parked near the front door. I grabbed the cinnamon buns that I purchased for a tasty gift. As I approached the door, Sophia opened the door and I almost dropped the buns. At the door stood a green-faced, hair curler-covered head, buck-toothed, dirty robe-clad woman. She gave me a glare and then couldn't hold it anymore. She started with a giggle, and by the time I reached the door, she was in all-out laughter. This is what you get when you rob a woman of her beauty sleep, Sir Knight. Then she started laughing again. I grabbed her green-slimed face, curlers and all, and planted a kiss on her. When I let her go, I said, Nay, my sweet princess. The camouflage cannot hide thy fairness. Beauty such as yours would shine through concrete. Then after staring at me for a moment, a second laughing session started. You goof, the kiss was wonderful, but now you have green all over your face and hands. Come on in before the neighbors see me and wonder who that crazy woman is that's in my house. Then we can both wash up. With that, she pulled off the curler wig and the phony teeth and showed me into the house, and after taking my gift pointed me to the guest room bathroom. After washing up, I walked out to the kitchen and grabbed a seat. Sophia walked in, and the green was gone, and a smile that would light a dark tunnel was on her face. I wore that get up to a Halloween party last year. Knowing you have a sense of humor, I thought I would get you back for the 7:30 call. I was barely awake and thinking about last evening. Then she held out her hand with my phone. Let's not forget this time. Now, do you want to conduct business and call breakfast a business meeting, or have lunch somewhere and use that as the meeting? Business breakfast, then you must face the open-handed thrashing or buy me lunch. Your choice. I laughed at the horror-stricken face, so I went on. The thrashings will only be 20 lashes open-handed on the bare posterior, and you are only required to submit to 2. So far, but the day is young. I don't know if you're serious or not, but I think lunch is a good idea. When she saw my poopy lip, she laughed. You were kidding, weren't you? You'll never know now. You ruined my fun. I must say, with no crudeness meant, that you have a very spankable posterior. I don't want you to leave, but I enjoy it when you walk away. That earned me a huge smile and sweat on the arm. I looked at her and got a brilliant idea. What does your book library look like? You seem to be intelligent, and if you have any similar book to what I write with the dust cover intact, I can get an idea of whether we are looking at the same ideas. Okay, but I need to warn you, I hated most of the dust covers, so I did my own to fit the book. I tried to present the theme of the story from my reading of it. After breakfast, my stomach is empty winch. Me man, me hungry. That earned me a second swat and a cheek kiss. After breakfast of a baked scramble with mozzarella and Italian sausage, coffee, and conversation, Sophia brought out several books with her dust covers and the originals. I was not totally surprised when two of the books were my romances. They are very popular. When I saw her covers, I knew she had captured the story essence without giving away the story. I put these two covers together before I knew you wrote them. I researched Lovebug last night and surprise. It was a registered pseudonym of one David Mitchell. What a coincidence. Huh. The covers were better than what the publisher supplied. I told her so. Then I asked if she wanted an opportunity to do all of my covers from that point forward. Yes. Okay, I will give my agent and my publisher a call. You said you had an English minor. Would you be interested in being my test reader and also my proofreader? That would mean some extra income. It would also be fairly steady work as I complete a book about every month. Yes, again, I would love it, and I would finally be using all of my skills. My agent and publisher were both on board, and my publisher even had Sophia do the paperback covers for all of my books and those of some of the other authors. My agent loved having another client, and I got a first-rate proofreader. Sophia was surprised that I used a different pen name. I explained that that was my publisher's idea. It was to protect my privacy. With her checking my spelling, syntax, and grammar, I was doing fewer rewrites and writing more books. I went from 12 or 13 books a year to 15 or 16. After that first weekend, Sophia and I dated for several months. We were together almost every day and most evenings. Sophia commandeered one of the bedrooms opposite mine as an office. She said she needed to be away from all distractions when she was creating. After a year, I asked her if she wanted to move in. I thought it was unnecessary to drive to her mom's when she just slept there, then drove back and shared breakfast. She agreed, but said, I'll move in, but you need to make closet space in the master because I am not sleeping in any bed but yours. I was floored. I shouldn't have been. We had occasionally had sex, but I did not realize that she had that kind of feeling for me. I mentioned earlier that authors are strange. Before you move in then, I have a couple of very important questions to ask you. Do you love me? I am very much in love with you. Then, if you love me, will you marry me? There was no hesitation. Yes, I love you. And yes, I will marry you. Well, we need to do two things soon. 1, we need to tell your mother. And 2, we need you to meet my parents and my sister. Mother already knows. I was going to ask you to marry me if you did not get off the pot. I would love to meet your family. We had the meet and greets. Sophia's mother, Laura, was a somewhat subdued, somewhat beaten down looking woman. I liked her but wanted to talk to Sophia about her. My parents and my sister Lily got along with Sophia like she was a second daughter. The three ladies went into a long-distance planning festival. Sophia wanted to have a short engagement. I was all for that. I asked Sophia if she objected to a prenuptial agreement. She had a couple of reservations but was not against the idea. I made a suggestion that seemed to make Sophia very happy. I suggested that we each contribute a fixed amount to a joint account and anything above that was ours to use as desired or not. Then I had another thought. I found out from Sophia that her mother was about to lose her house. I asked Sophia if she would have an objection to me offering her the housekeeper job. My current housekeeper wanted to leave, and I had 2 available bedrooms so she could live without worrying about living arrangements. I would buy her house and rent it out. That earned me an unbelievable kiss and an exhausting night. The wedding was great, and we honeymooned in Hawaii. We only spent a single day on the beach. The rest of the time was spent exploring the rainforest, Mauna Loa, and a trip to Molokai to study the history of the leper colony. After the visit, I thought I might get a book out of it. Instead, I got a fictional young adult series of 7 books that covered the colony and some of the families that came and lived with the patients. That series was my best work in my opinion. Sophia decided that she would accept outside commissions for her art. She would still do my covers, and the covers of several other authors, but she thought I should get a different proofreader. She even had a candidate in mind. My sister Lily had graduated from college. She had done a stint in the military before starting, so she was a non-traditional student. She also did not have any student loans to pay off. Her major was secondary education, with a minor in English composition. She had 1 year of teaching 15 and 16-year-old mommy's little darlings and decided that she was not a professional babysitter. The system was glad to have her leave, as more than half of her students did not pass her course. Lily took over the last of the bedrooms and was a stern taskmaster on my writing, but my number of rewrites decreased some more to less than 1 per book. I was happy, Sophia was happy, and Lily was ecstatic. Laura was now a very pleased and proud den mother of 3 adult children. Lily and I were officially unofficial adoptees. Things went along great for the next 2 years when my agent told me that a movie company was interested in the Leper Colony series. I had to go to New York City for preliminary negotiations, and after a week away from Sophia and my happy menagerie, I was ready to shoot someone. These idiots from the movie company thought that enough money thrown at me would make me roll over and kiss their butts. That did not happen. The second Monday meeting was a revelation for the movie people. It was short and sweet. I said no and caught a plane home. My agent called me the following Wednesday and said, "Those a-holes asked when they could set up the next meetings. They did not understand that if they did not change their position and their demands, there would be no additional meetings." He continued, "I explained that you had total control of all rights to anything you wrote. They even offered me a bribe to lie to you to get the contract signed. That was when I escorted them out of my building. The building that your money built. If it wasn't for you as my base client, all of the other authors I handle would leave." Hollywood must have wised up. A month later, an entirely different team came to me and paid to have my agent come to town also. This time we settled everything in 1 day. That is except for the legal language. That would never be settled without a few hundred billable hours. The basics of the deal were that I had total script control and veto power over any sexually suggestive scenes. It was my intention that the entire series would have a PG rating. It was written for young adults after all. I was also paid a small armored car full of $100 bills for the movie rights. My tax bill that year was almost as much as the village government's budget where my house was located. The shooting schedule for the first movie was coming quickly, and the movie people wanted me on site for the first couple of months. Of course, they would not be filming on Molokai. They had to go to a couple of Central American countries and make them look like they were islands. I was not happy, Sophia was not happy, and I stayed exactly 1 week and shut the project down. Hollywood was not happy, especially when I informed them that the director insisted that full nudity and simulated sex were on his agenda. He was fired, and they started again, but without me on site. They sent me the scripts and script changes. The new director was so afraid I would get him fired that he did not want me on set. That was fine with me. Sophia was doing gangbusters business, and her sculpting commissions had over a 2-year wait. She had more work than she could do out of a converted bedroom, and I had more money than God. So I bought an old out-of-business art gallery and leased it to her for $100 a month. That earned me a lot of love. Things were fine for a couple of months, and then Sophia started spending more and more time at the studio. The big fly in the ointment showed up about 6 months after she started to work in her new studio. It came in the form of a male model that was hired for, of all things, one of my romance book covers. Darren Fields was 6 feet 3 inches tall and a Fabio wannabe. He was good-looking and knew it. He also had enough ego for an entire Chippendale dance troupe. At the barbecue, I heard Sophia and Lily talking about Darren. What I heard was Sophia planning to explore and Lily encouraging. They were both very drunk. Lily loudly said that man is such a hunk. If you can keep my naive idiot of a brother from finding out, I say screw the hunk and have a good time. Sophia was just as loud and said, "I'm so tempted if I knew that David would never find out I would be naked and spread in a heartbeat." They were both on their way to drunk, but that was no excuse. Drunk lowers inhibitions, not planting ideas. I left the party and went and shut myself in the bedroom office and locked the door. I noticed I had been crying. When I had set the office up, I had as the first piece of furniture installed a fold-out day bed. My reasoning was that if I was on a roll with a story, I did not want to leave the office. I loved those two women as much as I like living. I cried for a while. Hey, I wrote romance novels. I decided that I would not sleep in the same bed as the traitorous bitch of a wife. Even thinking of cheating was cheating in my book. I decided to write 2 letters. The first would be to my ex-sister. Then I would follow that with one to my soon-to-be ex-wife. My dear sister, this letter is to inform you that your employment is terminated effective immediately. The reason is this drunken statement you loudly made to my wife at the party last night. That man is such a hunk. If you can keep my naive idiot of a brother from finding out, I say screw the hunk and have a good time. Because of that statement, you have shown me you no longer have your employer's best interest as your primary concern. I will not be disrespected, and when a sibling plots against another sibling, they are no longer related. You are hereby notified that you have 10 days to leave this rent-free house. You are to take only your personal possessions. You may not remove any item, written or electronically stored that pertains to my copyrights. That includes books, manuscripts, movie scripts, and written outlines. This is also to inform you that as you are a backstabbing bitch, I no longer consider you my sister. I am sending a copy of this letter to my mother, and also including it in your personnel file and to my lawyer. Sincerely, your ex-brother, David Mitchell. I printed 3 copies, signed them, and placed one under Lily's bedroom door, and drove to a mailbox and dropped the other's address to my mother and lawyer in it. I then drove around for a couple of hours. I got back to the house, and the ladies had apparently decided to look for me. My office door was open, and so was the bedroom door, and the ladies were both fully clothed sleeping on the bed. The letter to my wife was just as nasty. Sophia Grace Mitchell, you had quite a party last night. I specifically asked you and Lily not to serve any alcohol at the party. You did anyway. After overhearing 2 drunken women talking loudly, I left the party. In case you did not notice, last night I did not sleep in the marriage bed. I will not be sleeping in that bed again. In case you don't remember the conversation, it was about Darren, your Fabio wannabe. You 2 were discussing how you wanted to have sex with him, and Lily was encouraging you. Your exact words were, "I'm so tempted if I knew that David would never find out I would be naked and spread in a heartbeat." Well, this letter and the enclosed wedding ring are your permission to explore. As Jimmy Carter noted, lust in the heart is still cheating. All I ask is that you have the decency to move out before you explore and drop the Mitchell from your name. First thing Monday, I am filing for divorce. You will have to move anyway, as the house is mine. You might want to talk to my ex-sister about living arrangements as she is unemployed and has lost her residence. I will also be strictly enforcing the prenuptial agreement. I will not be disrespected by you, my ex-sister, or that a-hole of a model who knows you are married to me. I am going to go to New York Sunday morning, and on Monday I will have your contracts for my book covers to end with those books that have not gone to press yet. I do not know when you stopped respecting me, but it hurt me more than you can understand. Not only were you plotting to cheat on me, but you were also doing it loudly, in my house, in front of neighbors, in front of friends, and people important to my profession, and with my ex-sister. Maybe I am, as my ex-sister put it, naive and an idiot, but I am a person. One who stated in front of God and community to forsake all others. Do you perhaps not remember that you said the same thing in front of the same audience? I must try to get some sleep as I need to leave as soon as I can tomorrow. You will not communicate with me except through my attorney until the divorce is final. I really did, and probably still love you. But the hurt you caused last night will not let me let it go by. I do hope you can find a life that makes you happy. I was obviously not the one and not the one enough. Your soon-to-be ex-husband, David Mitchell. P.S. Enclosed is the wedding ring you placed on my finger. It may be a little bent and have some cracks, but it must have been a good quality one because I could not break it. I don't need it anymore. I had taken a hammer to the ring and placed it and the letter in an envelope. Then I placed the envelope on Sophia's toothbrush holder. I also printed a copy to take to my agent and one for my lawyer. My coffee is cold now. I have reservations for a flight and a cab in an hour. I have packed just enough for the rest of the weekend. I will buy what I need in New York. The ladies haven't stirred yet, so I think I will go out front and wait. I do not want to hear excuses or the lies that it was just talking. I don't know where this will go, but it will go on, and I will survive. Let's check the story from Sophia's side. I woke up fully dressed on my bed next to my sister-in-law. I had a drum and bugle corps wearing steel-soled boots marching through my head. I also thought they had walked through a pile of dog crap before they walked through my mouth to my brain. Lily and I had gotten drunk at the party last night and had a great time talking trash about the gorgeous model, Darren Fields, I am working with. Now the pain was reminding me of some of the cost of that fun. I say some of the cost because as I was reaching for my toothbrush, I saw the envelope. I opened the envelope and a smashed ring fell out. I saw what ring it was and vomited into the sink. I realized that the letter was from my husband, and when I read it, I was devastated. I had been drunk, stupid, and arrogant. Now I am well on my way to being alone. Then I looked again at the destroyed wedding ring in an envelope, placed where I would find it when I woke up. The destroyed wedding ring pointed to my life going forward as not being good news. When I stopped crying, I felt hands on my shoulders. Lily was asking what was wrong. I showed her the ring and the letter. She read the letter, and when she got to the first ex-sister part, she gasped and started crying herself. What have we done? I did not know David could hear us. It was just girl talk. Lily said, we would never have gone through with it. I said, David doesn't know that, and neither do all the people at the party. David was almost 20 feet away, so we must have been very loud. What am I going to do? Lily stopped crying and finished reading the letter. This letter says David is kicking me out and I'm fired. We need to find him and talk to him. We need to let him know that you would not do what we talked about. She hesitated. You wouldn't, would you? I could not answer, but the guilt must have shown on my face. I had all of the thoughts that we had, apparently loudly, talked about last night. You would have, wouldn't you? I could only nod. I love David with all my heart and soul, but that man is undeniably charming. Every time I see him, he has a way of catching my attention. I'm not sure how I'd handle it if he seriously pursued me, but for now, it's just harmless flirting. Then I remembered what David had written about no longer doing his covers. Oh, shit. I'm going to have to fire Darren and all of my staff because David is going to cancel my book cover contract. Lily looked at me like I had a third eye. You're worried about that eye candy and your staff when your husband is going to divorce you? You are indeed an arrogant bitch if that is your first thought. You really can't love David that much if money is your first thought. Damn it, you're right. I need to get to New York and be at the publisher's office when David gets there. Maybe I can get down on my hands and knees and crawl through broken glass to beg for a chance to make this right. Lily left the master suite and headed to her room. About 30 seconds later, I heard her running back screaming. No, I got a letter too. Please don't let it be as bad as yours. Then she was back with the unopened letter. She opened the letter with shaking hands. Please read it for me. I am afraid of what he is saying in there. I read those hurtful words. I started crying all over again. I handed her the letter and went to finish getting cleaned up and dressed. When I came out of the bath, Lily was no longer in the room. The letter was on the floor. I picked it up and put it on my makeup desk with the bent ring and my letter. I grabbed the phone and called the hotel that I stayed at the last time I was in New York. I made open-ended reservations for Sunday night through at least Thursday. Then I called the airlines and bought a round-trip first-class ticket to New York on the first available flight. I went into the kitchen and saw David's favorite coffee cup on the deck table. I went and retrieved it. I emptied the half-empty cup and started crying again. My love had not even finished half a cup before it went cold. I heard noises coming from the guest side of the house, and so after I started the coffee and put a couple of microwavable breakfasts to cook, I went to see how Lily was doing. When I got to her bedroom door, I saw that she was packing. I went in and asked her to stop for a second. Lily, please don't pack yet. I'm going to New York today to see if David will talk to me. If he will, I am going to beg as I said, and if he will listen, apologize profusely and abjectly, and try to save my marriage. Besides, David's letter said 10 days, and you will need at least a couple of days to find a place if you need it. She stopped, looked at me, and started crying again. I love my brother, and I don't know how I am ever going to make it up to him for my stupidity. I am sorry I said what I said. I don't even remember saying it. I just remember us giggling like 6-year-olds as we went into your bedroom. What can I do to help you get him back? As I was packing, I spotted the letters and the damaged ring. I went into my jeweler box and got a 16 plain gold neck chain. I threaded the ring on it and put it around my neck. On the plane, I went over all of the things that led up to the drunken debacle. Work was very stressful, with the sexual undertones that I was feeling towards Darren Fields, a model I hired for one of my book cover projects. Darren is an absolute hunk with long black hair, 6 feet 3 inches tall, probably 225 pounds. He has never crossed any boundaries into actual flirting, but I wasn't joking when I told Lily that I feel an undeniable attraction whenever we work together. I honestly don't know how I'd react if he ever made a serious move. Don't misunderstand. I love David, and if it were anyone else, there would not even be a temptation. David is a wonderful, caring, loving man and a great husband. It's just that our sex life has become routine. There is no spark, and I don't understand where that spark went, or what caused it to be destroyed. As I was wool gathering about what happened, I realized that David had done nothing to kill the spark. When I moved my work out of the house, I started to use work as an excuse to stay away from David. I did not have to spend 10 to 12 hours at the studio. My book cover work can be done at home. My sculpting can be done when the inspiration hits. I also realized that since I moved my work out of the house, I have not been responding to David as a loving wife. I have not instituted sex, and sometimes I have just allowed him to screw me, with no response from me. Even if I can't convince David to come back, I will pay Darren off and find someone else for the cover. Hell, I usually do a cover in 4 or 5 days. This cover with Darren is over 3 weeks long, and I am not even sure it is good quality work. David has a right to be angry. I was no closer to deciding what to do as the plane is descending down to land. Monday morning, I was in the publisher's office. I did not sleep well last night. The hotel desk clerk tried to play some games, and I had to call the hotel manager and tell him what was going on. I finally got an upgrade, and the desk clerk was dressed down in front of me and the rest of the desk staff. I got into the office as soon as it opened. I told the receptionist that I was waiting for my husband, who said he was going to be here today. About 2:30, I began to worry that David was not going to show up today. I called Lily and asked if David had called her. She said no, and when she tried to call him, his phone rang in the office bathroom counter. We talked for a couple of minutes, and I ended the call. The offices closed at 5 o'clock. David never showed up. I went back to the hotel and spent another restless evening. I kept my cell phone on, even on the charger. Back at the hotel, I sat down and wrote out the steps I am going to do to fix this. 1. Stop all current work and terminate Darren and his entourage. 2. Move all of my work out of the gallery. A. Find a new venue. B. Move to that venue. 3. Find a place to live if David insists I move out. 4. Work on David to fix this. Number 4 should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I looked at the list and crumbled it up and tossed it in the trash. I didn't need a list or a plan. I needed David. I finally decided that the first thing I needed to do was apologize to all of the people who were at the party. At the same time, I was going to terminate my book cover work. I decided that it couldn't wait until I returned home. I decided to use email for now. I had a mass email address group of all of the people that had been invited to the barbecue. I also had an email address for Darren. I decided to email Darren first. To Darren Fields. Darren, I regret to inform you that because I have had my contract for Lovebug's book covers terminated, I must end your employment. I will, of course, pay all monies due to you. I will also pay any housing costs through Saturday at 5 p.m. If in the future I have a need for someone that you would meet the requirements, I will contact your agent. Sincerely, Sophia Grace Mitchell. Then I sent this to the group that had gotten the invitations. Dear friends, this letter is to try to apologize to you for the stupidity that I showed at the barbecue last Saturday evening. If you did not make the party, this is an apology for the hurt I caused my husband and his relationship with you. What I did and said caused immense hurt to my husband. I have no excuse. Being drunk is not an excuse or a cause. What I said, and even getting drunk, were insults to my dear husband. He has decided to take some actions to stop the insult and hurt. Should David and I somehow separate, I wish you all will support David. He did not deserve it, and he should not lose your friendship because of what I did. Again, I apologize for any embarrassment that I caused. Sincerely, Sophia Grace Mitchell. I pushed send and cried again. After the emails were sent, I called my mother. She answered on the first ring. Where in the hell are you? You have several people trying to get hold of you. Your sister-in-law packed up and left. Your mother-in-law is furious at you and wants a big piece of your backside to chew on. Just what in the hell did you do to piss so many people off? Mom, I got drunk at the party last Saturday, and I said some things that hurt David to the point that he is going to file for a divorce. He has told me that he will not use me on any more of his book covers. He wants me out of the house. Was it that stupid of a model that you hired? Did that eye candy with the ego bigger than the earth and the intelligence of rocks get to you? Were you that stupid that you did not know that he is queerer than a $9 bill? She took a deep breath. I thought David asked you not to have booze at the barbecue. He did, didn't he? Yes, to all of your questions except that I did not know Darren is gay. I continued. If David should call, please have him call me. I need to do some major, sincere groveling to try and save my marriage. I'm to the point now that I don't care about the covers or the sculpture commissions. I just want David, the only man I have ever loved, back. Well, if he calls, I will give him the message, but you had better be ready to kiss his butt for the next 100 years if what you said caused as much damage as you say it did. Then she ended the call. Great. Now I have pissed my mother off. Just then, my email notification ring went crazy. I received return emails from almost all of the guests. None of them were neutral, and only one was positive. Most of them gave me hell for hurting a good man and telling me he left the party in tears. Some of them asked me to refrain from contacting them as they wanted nothing to do with a selfish, hurtful bitch. The one positive was from an a-hole man who asked to get together and rock my world. He didn't mention his wife or kids. All in all, it was about what I expected, except there was no response from David. I closed my laptop and went into the bathroom to shower and get ready for bed. Once in bed, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, cried and sulked until about 4 a.m. when I must have dozed. I was up at 7 and dressed and ready to return to David's publisher's office. At 8 o'clock, I hailed a cab. At 9 o'clock on the nose, I was in the same chair. This time, I brought my laptop. When I turned the laptop on, the email ring came on too. It was Darren. Sophia, I talked to your husband about my contract. He told me why you are losing your contract. As you are losing it through no fault of mine, I will sue for complete payment unless you agree to pay the entire fee. Darren. Well, if that did not suck eggs. There was still no word from David. About 11:30, I started to get worried. I finally asked to see David's publisher. I was shown into her office. Isabel DuPont had been David's publisher since he wrote his first book. She was and is a no-nonsense lady. She looked up from her desk and asked, "What can I do for you, Miss Grace?" Her words cut me to the quick. "I'm Mrs. Mitchell, and you know it. I would like to know what my status with this company and my author contracts." "You bitch. You forget yourself, Miss Grace. If you were at home today, you have received FedEx overnight envelope containing a check for your remaining contract obligations. We do not need, nor do we want, any more covers from you for David's work. As to your individual author contracts, we have informed all of our authors that they will be required to honor or buy out those contracts. Now, unless we have any more business, you may leave. One last thing. I was standing right next to David when you opened your stupid mouth and destroyed a very good man. I will do no more business with you ever." I got up and left. I was defeated. David must have completed his business over the phone. I left for the hotel to pack. As I was packing, my email rang again. This time it was David. "Sophia, I accept your apology. That does not change the fact that you publicly disrespected me and even went so far as to say very loudly that if I would not find out, you would cheat on me. As I said, I accept your apology, but just being sorry is not enough. I was at Keith Anderson's office today. As you know, as you use him too, he is an entertainment lawyer. He gave me the name of a divorce lawyer that I am seeing tomorrow. As I said in the letter, you will need to move out of the house. It was mine before we were married, and our prenuptial says that you will only get half of the joint account. Hell, if you don't fight the divorce, you can have it all, and I will add $100,000 in the gallery. I will even pay to have the gallery modified to include an apartment on the second floor if you want. I just want your disrespect out of my face. David Mitchell." I read that and knew it was over. It is just so harsh that I am losing a man I love, because I wanted another in my mind. Now let's check from David's side. After I got in the cab to go to the airport for the flight back to my house, I thought about what had happened to put me here. Sophia and my ex-sister both heaped what I felt was a public humiliation on me. My thoughts went back over the past few months. Sophia was pleased when I bought her an out-of-business gallery and had it reconfigured into a studio for her to create in. I was practically killed with love for a couple of months, and then things slowly changed. Sophia spent more time at her gallery than at home. Our lovemaking disappeared, and it became a mercy sex occasionally. Then about 3 weeks ago, she hired a male model for one of my book covers. He was a Fabio wannabe, 6 feet 3 inches and chiseled. He also had an ego bigger than the Donald. Once she started using him, I was ignored. On top of that, where she usually spent 3 to 5 days to complete a book cover, Darren Fields had been in town for almost 3 weeks. I asked about the cover, and every time I got still working on it. Then this past weekend I was hosting a Saturday night barbecue for friends, family, and professional associates, including my publisher and my literary agent. I was asked by my loving wife if Darren was invited. I said, no, not only no, but hell no. Then I politely asked my loving wife and my supportive sister to not have any alcohol at the party. They ignored me and proceeded to get wasted and loud. Then came the exchange that devastated me. My sister Lily loudly said that man is such a hunk. If you can keep my naive idiot of a brother from finding out, I say screw the hunk and have a good time. Then she started giggling. Sophia, also loudly, said, I'm so tempted. If I knew that David would never find out, I would be naked and spread in a heartbeat. Then they both were giggling. I left the party. I went into my office and realized that I was crying. I sat at my desk for what must have been an hour and realized that all that time I had been twirling my wedding ring. I finally decided that screaming at them in front of guests or in the morning would not solve anything. So I did what I do best. I wrote letters to my sister and my wife. I then went to sleep on the office fold-out bed. I woke up early and got some coffee and went out on the deck to think. I needed to call the airline and the hotel chain I use when I have to go to New York. I booked a round-trip first class with an open-ended return and booked a suite with the same provisions. I thought that I would be in the city at least until Wednesday and possibly until the weekend. On the flight, I realized that my publisher and agent had been at the house last night, and I was flying to meet them in the city. They either would not be there or probably would not be in their offices until Tuesday. When the plane landed and I was in the terminal, I called my agent and told him that I would not insist that he drop Sophia as a client, that it was his decision. Then I told him, she will no longer do any future covers for me, but the rest of her work is up to her and you. Then I called my publisher, Isabel DuPont. I told her that any cover that Sophia had submitted for books gone to press were to be used, but if the book has not gone to press, I needed a new artist. I told Isabel that if she had to pay Sophia for her complete contract, to bill me for it. When I accomplished that, I had no real desire to stay in New York. I called the hotel and canceled my reservations. Then I went to the airline ticket counter and switched my return to a trip from New York to Portland, Oregon to end back at my home. On the flight to Oregon, I contemplated what I would do for the rest of my life. The two women closest to me betrayed me, at least to my way of thinking about it. I would, of course, continue writing. A writer only stops writing when he dies, even if he never puts it on paper. Anything else was not on my radar at the time. The plane landed, and I went to my room in the airport hotel. It was near dinner time on the coast, so I ordered a steak and a Coors. I woke up the next morning and decided to just drive around Portland. I hadn't been there for many years. I went along the Columbia Gorge Highway, saw a bunch of windsurfers having a good time, watched a good-sized ship pass through one of the locks, and in general was a tourist. That night I had dinner at the Summit Ridge Lodge. The food was excellent, and the ambience took my mind off my troubles for a brief period. Tuesday morning, I got a call from Darren Fields, the Fabio wannabe. He wanted to know what happened to have his contract terminated. When I explained that I did not have anything to do with his contract, but that Sophia was probably trying to cover her track, he should talk to her. Later that day, I received 2 emails from Sophia. I read them. One was a copy of the email to Darren. That explained the call from Darren. The next was an apology to all of our invitees to the barbecue. The apology sounded sincere, but I was still hurt. I called my business lawyer, Keith Anderson, and asked him to recommend a divorce attorney. The name he gave me was Sally Winston, and I called her office and had a consult on the phone. I mentioned the prenup and that I was willing to do better if she did not fight it. Sally recommended a few things and said that when I got back in town we would meet and sign the papers and pay her. She also said I should respond to her apology. I told her my thoughts, and she was in agreement with them. So I sent a response to her apology email to Sophia. That was the end of my correspondence with Sophia for that day. I was closing my laptop when a new email popped up. It was from my sister. David, I know you are extremely angry at me. I really don't blame you. I will be out of your house by next Monday. I am very sorry I hurt and embarrassed you at the party on Saturday. What I said was just stupid talk. Sophia and I talked Sunday morning and realized that the makeup but kissing was going to have to be going on for many years. I love you, David. You have been my support since I got out of high school. You supported me when I went into the military and helped pay for my college. I really enjoy working for you. I would like to in the future if we ever can reconcile. For now, I will do as you ask. I hope that someday you will forgive me. I never meant to hurt or disrespect you as a brother or a boss, but I did. I am so sorry. Please accept this apology as it is meant. I will let you initiate contact if you decide you want to. I will not close any doors, but you must push them open. Please know that I love you. Your sister always. Lily Mitchell. I read it over and realized that Lily is family, and while I was still angry at her for the insult, I had probably hurt her almost as bad when we were growing up. I responded, Lily, I accept your apology, and I forgive you. You are my sister whether I am mad at you or not. Believe me, I am mad at you. Now that that is out of the way, I still want you out of the house. I also meant what I said about you being terminated as my proofreader. I think we were probably too close together for too much time each day. I love you, but after what you said, I don't like you too much right now. I suspect that at some time I will get over it. Let me have that time and for now the space to heal. I am seeing a lawyer tomorrow to start the divorce proceedings. I have already told Sophia that I will not take her back. You need to understand that the problems at the party were just the latest problems. Your words just added to them. By the way, did either of you women know Darren is gay and would not have seduced Sophia if she really wanted it to happen? Your ex-brother, David. Things were calm when I got back to the house on Wednesday of that week. I arrived home, and the house was vacant. Sophia's mother had put a letter of resignation on the kitchen counter. Sophia had cleaned out all of her stuff, and Lily had done the same. For the next few days, I did all of the things I hired a housekeeper for. When Monday rolled around, I called Mary Maids and asked if they placed live-in housekeepers. They did not, but recommended that I might call the college and get 2 or 3 part-time college girls. They also said that there was almost always someone on campus in need of work and living arrangements. I decided to take that thought and run with it. I got the number 4 and talked to the creative writing professor. He had 4 young ladies that needed to move out of their apartment as the landlord was trying to make them give him sexual favors. I told him my predicament and said that perhaps I could interview them, and if we could work something out, they could share 2 to a bedroom and use the 3rd as a study area. I added that I would, if asked, help them with their writing assignments as I had a few books published. The professor laughed and said, "We have a class dedicated to Elizabeth Jester books." That turned out to be both a great and a terrible idea. The girls were very proper and nice young ladies. 2 of them, Sarah Cunningham and Angela Mason, were sophomores, and the other 2, Elena Rodriguez and Sandy Skidmore, were juniors. They all were interested in part-time work and the offer of living quarters. They were excited to get paid and have living space and quiet study space. Their only complaint was the drive, but I pointed out that they were no longer paying rent and had a job. I would lease them each a small car to go to and from campus. They could only use the cars going to campus during school hours or to the campus library after hours unless they all went in a group. If they went as a group, I would let them use my SUV. Any other trips in the cars were to be cleared by me. No drinking while driving my vehicles. As we talked about what I needed and what they needed, we decided to come up with some rules. We mutually came up with a set of 11. We wrote them down and posted them on the kitchen entrance door. Rules of the house. All persons in the common areas will be properly attired. No just bras and panties for the girls. No just undershorts for the boss. No nude or semi-nude sunbathing. Bikinis are okay, but tops and bottoms are to remain tied. Live with the tan lines or go to a tanning salon. No underage drinking and absolutely no drugs of any kind. No overnight guests in the girls' area. Any guests of the girls must stay in the common areas. No exceptions. If guests are here to study, and study they will. In the common areas. The boss will allow these groups use the dining area. The boss's office is off limits when the door is closed. No cleaning, no knocking off limits. The girls' area is off limits except for inspections, or when invited. The boss side of the house is off limits after lights out. Any dietary requests are written down and will be addressed in the Saturday morning supply run. All parties and residents are invited to participate in the supply run. Boss buys lunch. The gardener and lawn boy are paid to work outside. They are not to be invited into the house, except to use the bathroom. They know these rules. Don't tempt them to break them. Lights out in the common area is midnight every night except when the boss is entertaining. Violations of these rules will cause the offending party to lose any common area privileges for 1 month. Any drugs or underage drinking mean eviction. When the boss is entertaining, the girls may join in or not as they wish. Proper decorum and attire will be enforced. The girls' wing will be off limits to all partygoers. They were happy with the rules. Sophia decided to fight the divorce. She also refused to leave the gallery when I served her an eviction notice. Even at $100 a month, she was 3 months behind. I told the utility companies that as I was no longer supporting the building, the utilities were to be shut off and a final bill sent to my accountant. Then I put a realtor sign on the building. Sophia was not happy. She came over to the house one afternoon when the girls were on the deck sunbathing. I had not changed the locks. She walked in just as Sarah was getting iced tea for all of them. Sophia screamed at Sarah, "Who in the hell are you, and what are you doing dressed like that in my house?" I heard the noise and came out of the office. "Sophia, shut up. This is not now, nor has it ever been your house. These girls live here during the school year. Now if you want a civil discussion, sit down and leave my housekeepers alone." She was visibly shaken by my rant. She slid into one of the dining area chairs. I went outside and apologized to the girls. Sarah was crying. I took her hand and led her back to Sophia. "You have 15 seconds to apologize to this young lady. She is here with my permission. You have again let your mouth overrule your brain. After you apologize, get your butt out of that chair and out of my building downtown. Your 15 seconds starts now." Sophia looked like I had slapped her. She dropped her house and gallery keys on the table and left. That day I called my lawyer and told her to take all but the prenup off the table and to demand that Sophia sign within 15 days, or we go to court. She had the signed papers within a week. I took the girls down to the gallery to look the place over. There was nothing wrong or dirty with the place. There was, of course, some dust, but apparently no one had been in the place for days. I talked to the girls and told them that as I really did not need this place. I then asked their opinion of the idea of converting it to apartments for off-campus housing. I explained that I would have at least one resident manager, probably a married couple. With the rest of the space, I could create 6 two-bedroom apartments. We decided to work with the college and the city council. The college was all for it. I went with my designs and got city council approval. The build-out was finished by the start of the next school year, and I found a local young married couple to be my live-in managers. The husband was unemployed and a very good handyman, so I made him the maintenance man. The kids loved the apartments. They were nice, cheap, and had dedicated study areas. The divorce was finalized, and Sophia never took her half of the joint account. It took nearly a year, but Lily and I eventually met again. By then, she had started writing as well, with 2 novels finished and published. She also quit drinking. The meeting was amicable, but the brotherly love I had for her was gone. It was more of a courtesy meeting than 2 siblings meeting. We had a coffee and later walked our own ways. Now, I know where my life is headed. I'm helping a lot of kids, my sister is happy, and I'm managing just fine.